Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Emerald County. Today we're obviously back in Emerald City, where I said we weren't going to be spending a whole bunch of time, but you guys really seem to enjoy the way Waterside turned out, and I realize I haven't got Demand Master on again. So, you know, today we're apparently starting out exactly how we do every other time, forgetting to turn that on. Excellent. Just what I love to do. I'm also noticing there's a lot of oh, no, there's not. Most of that's parked. That's fine. A little bit of traffic heading that way. Might be worth looking into changing that road there to a 4-lane road. That might help a little bit. Lets traffic go about its business a little bit better. And I reckon today I just want to fill the city out a little bit more, get some more details in there, do all that stuff, and see what we can do. I also want to mention, I want to talk a little bit about something some people were questioning, which was my decision to put a bunch of trees alongside the canal because it blocks the view. And that's very true, but I actually think I much prefer how this looks. I think it would look a little bit too open and a little bit too bare if we didn't have the trees. And if you want to go enjoy the view, you can sort of walk past the trees and look over the edge there if you want to. But I just personally think this looks a lot better. So I'm going to be sticking with this for the time being. But for the meantime, what I would like to do is actually go ahead and I want to put a one-way road going from here to, I'll say, there, about 3 units now. Yeah, that's kind of perfect. Because that's actually going to be the way I manage to get people over there and sort of out of the city. I'm not going to have it come off of the roundabout anymore. I'm going to have it come off of this road instead. I'll also use the good old highway ramp there because it actually lines up pretty well indeed. Now, can I get that to curve a little bit? Hopefully. There we go. It's actually interesting. I have been playing a lot of games lately that aren't City Skylines, and I almost feel like I'm forgetting how to play this, which is really strange considering how much of this game I have actually played. So that's an interesting feeling. It's like, hey, you've been playing this game for a really long time. Apparently you're forgetting how, I don't know, the controls just for a second there felt really strange to me. That was odd. Let's go ahead and upgrade this road for a second. It's going to be a two-way road. Well, technically this one shouldn't be, but we'll work that out. I do just really like the idea of filling in this space, because I can actually do a straight road across there, which that actually looks really good. So that kind of works. And I reckon this road will be fine. This road does need to be... It is going to need to be one way, I think. So I'll have it be one way going in, and I'm also going to turn off zoning on it so that I can get some zoning straight across here, because I think that could look really good. So let's go ahead and just fill in that space again. There we go. And that space looks fine to me. So traffic can go that way and hopefully get out of the city without too much trouble. So a lot of people are going to want to circle around, but hopefully that will do the job. And what I'm actually going to do is set this lane to go left only, this lane to go straight forward, and this one obviously is going to go to the right. That didn't quite work, did it? Let's just change that up a little bit. So hopefully we'll see that work. Obviously traffic's going to have to slow down a little bit to get around that corner, which is a bit of a shame, but I think it works. I do. I think it works a little bit better than having them go to the roundabout. We will probably see a lot of traffic back up here, but hopefully I can manage that once I get some bus lines in here, which I've still yet to do and still really need to do. But we'll get to that eventually. Now, I was going to look at this and say, hey, let's not have zoning along this road, but apparently I thought otherwise. And I'm remembering that I actually did that to fill in some spaces, so that's fine. What we'll do is I will turn zoning off on this road so that I can fill this space in quite nicely, and I will actually put some more high-density commercial just in there. So that's okay. Along this road, I think I might actually do the same, since that's pretty much on a... It's right next to a highway. You wouldn't want to live there. So we'll do that kind of thing. This space will be fine because this is while this is right next to a highway, it's not quite as, it's not going to be as loud, basically. But I do want to change this up a little bit and make that a bit of a straighter road rather than having that curve on it. In fact, it might be interesting to bring that road right over next to this one. Nah, we'll not do that. In fact, what we'll do is I'm going to get rid of this road completely for the time being. And I'm going to fill out this space with regular roads and all that stuff and see what I can do. And then we'll put in the highway one. So let's see. If I don't think I want zoning on that avenue. I think I'm going to turn zoning off on that entire avenue. Because then I can zone right up to the edges of it and not have to worry too much about any other thing. This avenue here, though, it might be good to turn zoning on. So if I do that, I can get a little bit of commercial zoning just there, which fills up that space. And you know what? I'm going to do the same here. Just because there's no point putting a park there. I think I was going to, but there's no point considering we have a massive park here, which has actually been disconnected from that spot. So let's just fix you up a little bit. There we go. That seems fine. Okay, we have a lot of space to work with. We have got pretty much all housing along there. So I think this space can mostly be... I feel like most of the commercial zoning is actually going to be over here. So a lot of commercial maybe around this area with housing sort of in between. That could work. Let's see what we can do. Let's have a little bit of a play around. So let's come out of here and let's do that. And let me do this kind of thing. So if I did that, I can get zoning right up against that road without actually being on that road, which is kind of important to me. So let's turn zoning off on you. And let's continue this road the whole way down. So that could technically connect there, which I actually think could be a kind of cool idea. So we'll do that. It might cause problems with traffic, but I'm curious to see. I also realized that there was a path there, but we'll put that back in just a little bit. What I also want to do is come in here and just get some little connections about the place. So something like that kind of works. If we go ahead and just upgrade this to have zoning again. There we go. So that little road works. Can I change that at all? I don't want that to have zoning, obviously. But the way the spacing seems to have worked with this road is actually really not what I want it to do. As you can see, it's just been a bit weird. So maybe if I do that... Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then do that. That's better. That does the job. Okay, let's turn zoning off on you again. That gives us a nice little connection there. Up this end, we're going to want something similar. So let's come into that space. That didn't connect. That's very interesting. Let's go... Well, we're going to need to turn zoning on here again. Which, unfortunately, has actually completely messed up that entire road. So let's do that. Let's come into here. And that works. Okay. That's a couple of connections for the same little section of road, which is exactly what we want. And then we want to turn zoning off on you. And we can actually just continue that road straight through, which is super nice and super useful. So there we go. And now what I want to do is actually come in here with this highway road. And we'll bring it up from, say, there. Because that is, what, 9 units? Maybe go for a little bit further. So that's 12 there. So that's fine. That's going to go behind some buildings and should look super, super interesting. So it can go that way. Then a little bit of a curve to there. Yeah, that seems fine to me. That actually curves really nicely. Now all we need to do is bring the road sort of... I was going to go straight off of there. I think I'm actually going to try and get a little bit of a curve going so traffic can, you know, kind of keep a little bit of speed going around there. Then if we get a nice bit of straight road there, and then try and curve it around a little bit. Then we need to basically U-turn it. Now that looks like more of a mess than what we had before. That's my problem. So maybe we're not going to connect it from here. I guess we could connect it from the roundabout. I just don't know that I like it. Maybe just connecting it off of here would be an idea. I guess that could technically work. So let's see. If we go from there, then we sort of stick fairly tight to this road. So something like that, and then that. No, that's also a mess. Okay. This is going to be a tricky one, isn't it? This is definitely going to be a tricky one. We're going to need to turn zoning back on for this road for a moment. So I can measure this out nicely. So if I go like that, then we turn this that way. We'll go like that for the time being. Then I want to bring that to there. Now, can I connect those two sections? I absolutely can. Hold on a second. I can do that. Okay, so that should totally work if I change it into highway road. Now, that's one hell of a bend on the road there. But it does let me kind of somewhat neatly do what I want to do. So I think I'm going to keep that, as ridiculous as it looks, unless I can get a much nicer bend there, which I think is incredibly unlikely. But I'm certainly willing to try. If I go like that and like that, I mean, I guess it works. This is now a very sharp turn, but I guess that'll let traffic maintain more of a speed than my other option will. So we'll see how that goes. Traffic starts turning off. I mean, it's going to be a bit slow turning there, but it maintains a reasonable amount of speed going around there, so I guess we'll keep it. Okay, let's take zoning off of this road and actually get on with building what we want to build. I realize I've actually completely messed up the zoning down here already. So that's excellent news. Let's turn you off and turn you off. And then bulldoze those buildings, because those aren't the right buildings there at all. Okay, so this area is built up a little bit. Whilst it does look kind of bare and a little bit boring, we are gonna make something a little bit more exciting out of this, I think. And I'm actually interested to see what would happen if I were to come in here with the, not the terrain, the terrain? Don't know where that came from. With the district brush, because I actually think it could be kind of interesting to have this new space actually follow the international theme. Or the vanilla theme, as it's called within City Skylines. And the reason I think that could be interesting is simply because we're going to end up in a situation where, and this is going to be, I think, one of those things that some people like and some people really don't, but we're going to end up in a situation where you basically have one side of the road is old European and the other side of the road is, well, not. And I don't know, I actually think that looks kind of cool. There's some places in the world where you can see it's very clearly the case, where one side of the road is much older than the other. And I don't know, I think that would look quite nice here. So I'm certainly going to give it a go. I'm hopefully not going to need to put an old town policy here, because that would interrupt the roundabout at the moment. But maybe I can get the zoning off the roundabout without getting any buildings out of the district. It looks like I can, so maybe I can get away with an old town policy there, sort of forcing traffic to stick to the main road. Whatever the case, I want to go with the vanilla style there, and I'm actually quite curious to see how this turns out, because this area can in fact have high-rise buildings, and I just think that could look quite nice. I think this kind of central area, this area of the city should look much newer than this one. I think. Basically, the canal and the buildings alongside it are sort of the... Everywhere down here is like the old part of the city, up here is the new part, I think. Which I think makes sense, considering this has all the interchanges and stuff like that, and this down here is going to just be flatter roads and all that. And immediately, you do get a bit of a different skyline going on there. A bit of a different city skyline, might I say. But that's, well... That's a joke that I'm going to regret and never draw attention to again. But whatever the case, I think it might be a good idea to start looking into services, because we don't actually have a hospital in there. I'm just noticing, like, there isn't a hospital. There isn't a there is one fire station, and there is one police station, but there's no medical clinic. So I think it would be nice to maybe start looking into getting a hospital. And I kind of like the idea of maybe using this space here. Alternatively, maybe this space in here could also work, or this one, I don't know. Actually, yeah, this one here. I'm gonna go with this one because it is quite close to the highway entrance and exit, and I think having a hospital in here could be good. So first things first, let's just D-zone everything on this road, and I think those trees were 5 apart. So let's have a look. Yeah, they were. Alright, so let's just do this and get rid of all of the potential zoning on that road. Do the same around here as well. And that leaves us a pretty nice space to work in a hospital. And also a couple of crematoriums and maybe a graveyard. It might be not... Well, no, we'll put the crematoriums in here. We'll put a hospital in here. And maybe a sauna. Because why not? In fact, I'm thinking maybe 2 hospital buildings. Just to make this a really, really big hospital. I think that could be kind of nice. What might also be interesting is playing with the land a little bit. It could be kind of cool to maybe take one of these sections of road out, raise the land a little bit, or lower the land a little bit. Now, we'll keep it flat. We'll keep it flat for the time being. So let's see what we want to do. We want an entrance to the hospital. And this is going to be the only entrance to this entire area, because it is just a hospital. So, what I think I'll do is actually use this. Just because I can get a nice little path with trees on it, and I think it looks really nice. So we'll use that. We'll turn zoning off again. There we go. And from that, we're going to have, I guess, a one-way system. That kind of thing could totally work here, so let's see what we can do. We're going to go with a distance of... I'm going to say 5 again, but I'm hoping that it stays... it's on the wrong side of the road. Okay. In that case, we want none, and we want small oak, and we want it to be 5 apart. So if I do this kind of thing, if I go 10 and do that, and then flip that road, can I... No, that was a 2-way road. What am I doing? I want a 1-way road with none and small and, of course, 5. So if I upgrade you and change you and flip you... There we go. Okay, so this will totally work. So that goes either way, and I think I got that fairly central there, which is quite nice. So that goes either way. We'll go... Say... I can go 14. We'll go 13, so I can get a path in there. We'll come over 20, and we'll go down. So yeah, that leaves me a pretty good space. It's not quite perfect, but it certainly does the job. Within that, can I fit much of a hospital? I can fit that one, but it's not central. I can fit... Can I fit 2 of those? Actually, sort of, yeah. And that's interesting looking. What if I put 2 of those right behind each other? So something like... No, that totally doesn't work. Okay, well that's disappointing. What other hospital buildings do I have? I have this nice tall one, which is not a bad looking building. I could do 2 of them right next to each other, but then you get 2 hospital signs, which I don't think works. What if I did... What about this one, the sort of default looking one? Now I can put that central, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It would be nice to have it fairly central, but I don't like the spaces on either side. And I feel like I'm going too much for symmetry here. I think I want to shake this up a little bit. Okay, so what we have here are two rather large hospitals, each of which can house 500 patients and has 30 ambulances. And then we have a small clinic here as well, which I decided to put in just because most hospitals, to one degree or other, tend to have a small building somewhere nearby that is sort of a day clinic. You can go and see just the doctors and all that stuff. Obviously, you do have like local doctors' clinics in different neighborhoods, but there's usually, at least for me, in the hospital near me, there is that kind of thing. There's like the doctor, that you can go and see a doctor at the hospital, and that's kind of what that is. So hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of use out of this. We'll see some ambulances going out. I mean, obviously there's some hearses going out already, which is kind of interesting to see. I haven't seen any ambulances yet, though. I guess most of the ambulances here are probably, or most of the ambulances and most of the issues in the city are getting dealt with elsewhere. As you can see, a bunch of ambulances actually leaving the city there. And so fair enough. I mean, that guy there is going to be going, transporting a patient for Owner Sim Hospital. Yeah. So that guy's going from the city to the hospital in Castle Rock, so he's got a bit of a distance to go. Fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of glad I'm not him. That's one hell of a distance to be covering in the ambulance. Still none from here, though. I wonder if that's because the zoning isn't on. No, because the hearses were going out. I really don't know, actually. I'm really confused by this. So I think what I'm gonna do is stop watching the hospital for a while because nothing is gonna come of it. What I'll also do, though, is just make this its own little district there, because, you know, we can easily identify it from a distance and see that it is its own thing. So if we do this, and then we'll just call this Emerald City Hospital. And I guess we'll give this its own, we'll give it a Parks and Rec boost, because why not? We'll also do free public transport, because eventually there will be a bus that takes you there, so you can get a bus for free from the hospital. That seems like a fairly good idea to me. What I'll also do is I'm gonna... Part of me wants to continue Waterside, but I realize I can't really do that, so what I'm gonna do is just cut off the Waterside district along that bridge. And bring that all to an end there. So if we just chop that away... This space in here, I reckon, should be some houses, because if we put a bunch of shops there, you're gonna have a lot. Well, houses in general are also gonna generate a lot of traffic. Maybe offices. We don't have many offices in the city yet, so I think an area of office space could actually be a really nice bet. So let's see what we can do. If we go to there, we can bring an office to about that point, which actually fills up the space super, super nicely as well. So let's just go ahead and get this bit of road and go ahead and take the zoning off of that entire stretch of road there. So those don't actually fill up to the street perfectly, but they'll certainly do the job. So that's one little space of offices. What I'd also like is kind of like what we did over here. I want sort of a line of offices going along the front of the canal there, because I think it will look absolutely beautiful. We're gonna go with the stem. What? Can I connect that? Is that actually a thing I can do? It is. Okay, that doesn't look so bad, actually. Can I, by any chance, change that road a little bit? Like, is that a thing I can do? If I... No, what if I delete you, then just replace that little bit of road? Does that stay? No, it's no longer a bridge. Okay. Well, that actually looks pretty good to me. Having that curve along really nicely along the edge of the canal there. Big question, though. Can I bring this down? I mean, I could technically. If I turn snapping on, I could technically go from, like, there. Or even there. Which I would kind of like to do. No, I realize I kind of needed that to go in there. So let's just extend that again. And I want to do that kind of thing, delete that road, bring that to there, then turn off zoning on that bit of road, and delete that. So I should now be able to connect these without too much trouble. If I bring that to about there, and connect that to there, so you get, it's got a little bit of a curve in it, but it does link around quite nicely, and it does give us some space to do some zoning. So let's just fill up as much of this space as we possibly can, I guess. As for along there, I reckon the best bet might be to get ourselves a little bit of a pedestrian path just there. Because then we split the areas up quite nicely, so that absolutely works. Let's go ahead and get some office zoning in here, just right alongside the river. This is going to be some very expensive office zoning. You wouldn't get offices alongside a river for cheap, I'll tell you that. We'll do that as well. And I guess this little space in here can just be a park or something. I don't see why I need to, I don't necessarily want to fill in every space in this city. That's a thing that I'm being really conscious of, to leave some green space. Because I do have a tendency to, you know, pave way too much. So in this case, I'm trying to be very careful with what I do and do not pave. And I think this looks kind of interesting, having the backs of buildings on the, out to the road like that. I don't know. Some people might not like it. I kind of do. Let's also turn off snapping and take that path to there. And I guess I can put some trees in there. Because, you know, I love me some trees. Let's go for the good old typical trees that we go with. We'll get 4 of them, because why not? There we go. And this space, I mean, it would be nice if those buildings felt a little bit more connected, because they feel very separated, and that's kind of my issue with these. So, what would be the best way to make those all feel a little bit more connected together? I don't really think there is a good way to do it. I mean, all these buildings here are pretty much disconnected as well, so I guess that works. I think it's probably just because it's the end of the canal and there's nothing opposite them. So maybe trying to get some buildings over here would be a good idea. I guess we can try it. Let's keep zoning on, turn off snapping, go from there, and just gently curve this around to there. Yeah, that is not gonna work. Never mind. We'll just not bother doing that. We'll put a park in here or something. Okay, I'd say that space is filled in just a little bit better there. The buildings still look a little bit empty from the front, but I actually think that's part of the problem with that is that there's no skyline behind them at all. It's way back there. So we want to fill this space in. And I think this space is going to be very similar to what's going on over here in terms of being a much more modern looking skyline. So, I mean, I guess... See, the thing is, and this is the complicated thing with this city. A lot of people were saying these road layouts around here look like a complete mess, and that's kind of very true. The city's supposed to look... I'd say a lot of people were saying it. There was one comment I remember, someone was saying my road layouts are an absolute mess. For one, I'm not good at road layouts, and the point of this city isn't to make beautiful looking road layouts. Like, I know this is all a bit of a mess. I do, I get that. But I almost like that. I like the fact that they're a bit of a mess, because a lot of road layouts in Europe often are a bit of a mess. And on top of that, it kind of makes it more fun for me. You know, I have these terrible road layouts, and then I try and make something that I think looks really pretty. And I like that. Like, this road layout along here, it's simple, but it's probably not all that effective, but I made something that I think looks really nice. Same with all this space, and same with what's going on here. And I will say it is much more challenging to make an incredibly pretty city when you're using the international tile set here. But I'm going to try and work with it. I'm going to try and make it work. If I can, I can. If I can't, then I can't. I'm also going to continue the Waterside district back over to here, just because I realize I have some things set for the Waterside district, like, you know, high-rise ban, that I kind of want to carry into that space. So that'll be useful to have. There we go. Might also be worth just tidying it up a little bit there. Maybe we could probably just take it off that road completely. There's probably no need for it to be on that road, or that road for that matter. So we'll take it off there as well, and we'll bring it just right back. Hopefully those buildings at the front there aren't taken out of the district, but knowing cities, they probably are. There we go. So that district's been tidied up a whole lot there. That's much, much better. Down this end could use a bit of a tidy as well. I also forgot to fill in this space. I'm absolutely going to have to do that at some point. But what I would like to do is fill in this space with some more modern buildings and then come back and start filling in some of these spaces, because I think this space here probably should be filled in. I probably want to change the layout here and make this a little bit more densely packed. So we're going to try and do that in just a second. Let's come over this way though. And for one, I'm going to turn off the zoning on this road because I think it's completely unnecessary. I'm also going to go up and just do that on all these roads, I think. So let's go to you and turn off zoning. Let's go to you and turn off zoning. We'll do that all the way down here as well. We'll do it this way as well. And we'll do it on that road as well, because we're probably not... We're going to try and avoid having zoning on these avenues. I'm sort of set on doing that. I think it's kind of working. It's pulling traffic away from the avenues. It's not having traffic stopping in the avenues to go into a place. So it does, for me, seem to be working, and it's making the avenues a little bit more functional as actual ways for traffic to flow, as opposed to places the traffic's actually trying to go to get to the building that it wants to get to. For example, these guys here, if they want to get to these office buildings, actually cannot stop in the avenue to do it. They have to go around. So hopefully that works. I mean, in general, the city doesn't seem to be having any traffic issues, which is nice. We're also nearly at 20,000 people in the city. No, not the city, the entire county. That's not bad. I'm also really liking the size of the city these days. I was doubting it a little bit in terms of size. I mean, I know it's not huge. It's not the biggest city, but I think it does the job. I definitely think it does the job. So, let's get on with what I was supposed to be doing, which is also downgrading that road. Or not downgrading it, but getting rid of the zoning like I said I'd do. There we go. Okay. So what can we do? I think I'm gonna start going towards bigger roads. We can imagine this area was once, you know, European-style buildings, but they they completely redid the area, so it's still got the thin roads. This newer area, I'm actually kind of okay with it having the wider roads. So we'll go with that. We'll bring a road. We'll go up like that, and we'll go like that, so that we can see where it's going to be parallel. So if I do that kind of thing, it connects quite nicely. I'm also going to do that kind of thing to get a connection. Going to do that to fill out a connection, and that immediately is just a nice dense space. So let's see. I need to make sure to turn off zoning quite regularly on a bunch of these roads to make sure things don't mess up. Like this road, for example, making sure zoning is turned off on you is going to be very important. So let's get that done, and of course, this road too. Okay, so that's immediately going to give us a nice, dense space. I reckon I can probably get away with doing commercial there. So I'll do a bit along that road, and I'll do a bit along that road. And maybe a little connection for a road just there as well would be super nice. So do that kind of thing, then turn zoning back on. Can I fix that at all? I'm going to have to redraw that road. That's okay. Let's go from there to there, and possibly redraw that one as well. Much better. Okay, so once again, we get a bunch of zoning in there, and that looks kind of nice. Does the job. It's 2 entrances to that one area, and then a couple of different ways to go at either end as well. So hopefully that'll end up being a nice space. As for pedestrian access, I do want that. I do absolutely enjoy having a bunch of pedestrian paths, so I'm going to want to work some of those in. We'll go like that. Get a little pedestrian path in there right by that crossing. And that's probably all we need. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to do something like this and sort of separate a bunch of buildings with a really long pedestrian path and then do, say, that there at that crossing and that at that crossing. But then I'm not quite sure where I'm actually going to put another road, because I do want another sort of strip of road there. So if I go there, perhaps, then we go that way. Can that connect under there? No, it doesn't seem to want to let me do that, which is a bit disappointing. But I guess it's alright, we'll go to there at least. Creates a bit of an interesting connection. We'll go like that as well. Delete that, then we'll reconnect all of this and see what we can do. Because we might have a super interesting looking area, which would be nice. Delete you and bring it along to there. And we can get rid of the zoning on this road as well. So let's do that. Okay, it did get rid of a path, unfortunately, but we can just place that right back. And I guess we're left with some zoning for that space, which I think I'm going to do some office... No, actually, we'll go with more commercial... No, we'll go with housing. We'll shake it up a little bit. I didn't do offices because they don't actually grow to be skyscrapers, which is kind of what I want in this space. I'm also thinking I'm going to put in a little bit of a pedestrian path just there. And there's a reason for that. The reason being, I'm probably going to turn zoning back on this little stretch of road. Because I actually kind of like the idea of a giant skyscraper in there. I think that could be kind of fun. And I have quite a few assets that we could use to do that. So I'll do that, that's fine. We can go ahead and put these paths back in. And we could place something like the Gherkin, which is the eccentric skyscraper, which is the hub for financial business with a 360-degree view restaurant on the top floor. This thing is in London, actually. So we could place that. We could look at placing the stadium, which actually isn't all that big and really probably doesn't belong right next to a highway, or a hospital for that matter. We could place the theater. Always an option. I might actually place that anyway. That'd be kind of nice to have somewhere, like a theater district. I might do that over here. It's a bit near a highway, but it might be nice. Or here. That space could kind of work. Kind of a nice fancy theater district. We could get the cathedral. We need a cathedral district. That could go with a theater as well. I'm thinking a lot of ideas. Don't know if they'll actually work, but we will soon see. So what is this? This is a Russian hotel. I mean, that could sort of fit too, perhaps. It's an interesting looking building, I'll give it that. Let's see what else we've got, though. We've got the Russian hotel. I do have some skyscrapers, like I said. We have the Transco Tower, that's way too big. We have the Trans-American Pyramid, which is a little bit out of the style too much. 60 Wall Street is enormous. We have Santander Tower, which actually, you know what? I kind of like. That's not too bad. It's enormous, but I think it kind of works almost. It's maybe a bit close to the hospital, but I mean, can I squeeze it in there? Does it? No, it doesn't fit. So maybe shift it along one. Or a few. Can I get it to sort of go central with that little road there? I cannot. I don't think there is the best place for it. I think there kind of works. I kind of like that spacing. I think it'll do. Then next to it, I'll just put... I kind of need more zoning next to it, don't I? Because it's very much on its own there. What if we find an actual skyscraper district? What about sort of in here? I did take zoning off of this road, but if I sort of bring roads down and in there, I could get these sort of curving highway roads going around skyscrapers. Or this could be the skyscraper district if I really wanted it to be. That is always an option, I suppose. I mean, if I take this tower and sort of just chuck it there, you do immediately get a very different looking skyline. I think it could actually be a good idea to sort of have a line of tall buildings, sort of going from the Santander Tower to, say, here. So if I turn zoning back on that stretch of road, like so, I mean, I'm going to need to adjust it slightly because it's a bit of a mess. But if I go like that, and then redraw that road, then perhaps redraw that stretch of road as well, because I want the zoning to be perfect there. It's not really going to be, but that does the job. I reckon we get Santander Tower there. We could get 60 Wall Street in as well, which I actually quite enjoy. And it might be a good idea to maybe put those kind of buildings along that 3-lane road there, that one-way road. So let's just turn zoning back on for that road and see what we can do. So let's put 60 Wall Street just there. We'll get some more tall buildings such as, I mean, that's a bit bigger than that one, but I think that's a little too tall. We have this museum as well, which I think I might add somewhere. We have, what was that? Red Fort Tower, which is a bit smaller, so it can sort of go down this way. It can actually sort of slot in there. Yeah, that's not so bad. I'll move Santander Tower just a little bit to about there. That's alright, that does the job. Let's see, what else have we got? We have, the Brown Rock building, which I think has a road built into it, so I don't really want to deal with that. The Hyatt Hotel, or Hyatt Hotel, I don't know. I'm gonna assume Hyatt. We have Hermes Tower, which is a little big. We have Aurelia Tower, which is bloody enormous. We have this building from Ghost in the Shell, which I'm not interested in. What is this? This is the Comio building? Comio building? Which is actually kind of interesting, and I think looks quite nice. Maybe it could go where Santander Tower is. If I move Santander Tower to next to that one, I think those are a nice fit together. What if I put them a little closer? Okay, a little further apart then. Something like that. Yeah, that'll do. And then that other building can go there. It's clipping the highway a little bit. That's not good. Let's move you to there, I think. You've got trees clipping the highway. That's not good either. Move it to there. Move this building along just a little bit to there, because I really like that. I love this little space. It kind of makes me tempted to turn it around and have it facing the water, which I guess I can try. It would be a building on an angle, which is probably very important for this space. So let's do that kind of thing and try and put this building in there and make it work. So there's a bit far. That kind of works. Yeah, I guess that's all right. It means that, you know, you have this little area here, and then from the building you get a look over the water and all that stuff at the bridges, so that's quite nice. It is a massive building. It's almost a bit of an eyesore coming over the bridge, though, is my worry. So maybe having it the other way around was a better bet. What if we put it there? I think it's less of an eyesore. It's difficult to know. I feel like it's very difficult to know where this building's going to work. There almost works. If I can get it to line up perfectly with that road, that would be ideal, but I really don't think that's going to happen. No, that is absolutely not going to happen. So that's unfortunate. I guess just having it like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it like that, I think. And then see what else I can sort of put around it. So let's see what other tall buildings we have here. We have this digital Beijing build. I don't know what this thing is. What is that? Is that actually a thing? A very strange looking building. I don't think I like it. I don't think it fits the style at all. It's a little bit too out there. Pan Pacific Insurance. I really enjoy this building. I've had it before. So I'll put it there. Again, a little bit out there. Have I placed that same building? I have put that same building in twice, and I think Pan Pacific Insurance is a bit too out there. We have Blue Rise Plaza, which can go there. It's a very blue building. Might also be good to try and get some of these buildings at an angle again, because I think they're getting a little bit too... I'm trying to get sort of a very straight line of these buildings in, but at the same time, I'm trying to not do that. Also, why do I have two of the same building? I kind of like that, actually. That's not terrible. What if we put those opposite each other? It makes an interesting thing. Like, I think that'd be really interesting to drive down. Yeah. Although, at the same time, that doesn't seem like a main road at all. That's a concern. Okay, so one change I think I'm going to make is I'm going to make this entire stretch of road a bit bigger, so it seems like the road's a little bit more important. I've also named this entire section the High-Rise Highway, because I think that's kind of a fun name. So let's go ahead and just reconnect this little highway section here, because this is still going to be a fairly major way into the city, but I just wanted to change it up a little bit there. Something I actually think I'd really like to do in this space is try and get trams working. And I know that seems a little bit silly considering this area is, I guess, in a way, very modern almost, but I actually like the idea. I think it could be kind of fun to get some trams in here. So I'm absolutely gonna try and do that. It's just a case of finding the right place to put the tram depot, which I think might actually be over here. So let's see if I can put myself the tram depot just sort of here. Like if I come off of there, actually, we'll come off of there, go to that point, and put the tram thing there. Now I can do that actually. It is underneath a yeah, it's underneath the highway. That's fine. So what we'll do is go ahead and upgrade that road to be a tram road. And then down this way, we're going to want to put in some trams. So let's see. We're going to go this way with them. We'll go straight on. It means there is a divider in this road now, but that's okay. Then I want to go... It is risky, because this is a very busy area, or probably will be. But if we go that way, bring it underneath everything there, hopefully that's a thing I can do. I think I've upgraded both sections of road there, actually. If I upgrade that tunnel, yeah. So let's just go ahead and downgrade that, which is actually downgrading the tunnel underneath. No, it didn't. That's fine. Okay, so we'll bring it across that bridge, bring it around here, and we'll go this way and across that bridge as well. Now, I don't think I want to bring it down in front of the hospital, because that'll get rid of my trees, and I kind of want to keep those. And I'm aware that this is currently a 6-lane road, but I'm just going to have to downgrade it. So we'll go this way. We're going to bring the trams across the front of all of this. And I guess it's going to come the whole way along, and... I mean, part of me's tempted to bring it down here. But I think I'm gonna... Oh, you know what would be a good idea? To get some trams in here that don't necessarily go on the roads. That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? But I guess I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna go to there. And that seems okay. I really would like trams that don't necessarily follow the roads, though. That would probably be an excellent idea. Let's see. If I go to trams and go to tram-only roads... I could bring one from down here and sort of bring it, like, into some of these spaces. Because there absolutely is space for it. It's just a case of, you know, making it work. For example, I kind of like the idea of, like, a tram road coming through there. But maybe bridging over, like, just a tram that would maybe run back and forth from an area here to an area over here. You know, bridging the gap between two different parts of the city. That's definitely something we could do with trams. But I think that's something I might look into doing in a future episode. Because I love the idea of having trams running between these buildings. I really do. But we'll see. Anyway, let's move the Gherkin back to that space. Because I think that looks kind of nice. And some of these buildings over here, I think I'm just going to move in general. I think the Comio building can go there. Because that'll actually sort of hide... Actually, I could put it on the tram station road, which I think I'm okay with. So we'll do that kind of thing. Although it would look much, much nicer if we sort of had it that way around. Or even put it over opposite the whole thing. That doesn't look so bad to me. Yeah, I think that works. Nah. We're going to put it back in the tram road. We'll keep it there. These smaller buildings are probably okay where they are. This one I can actually move down into that space if I really want to, which I kind of really want to. It fits perfectly. We do have some other tall buildings to chuck in, of course. I did get rid of some of them, so we have that one, which is a bit too big. Where is it? We have 60 Wall Street, which I think can go in about there. That seems kind of cool. Let's see what else we've got. We've got Santander Tower, which I think could look quite nice opposite the... Well, maybe not opposite the Gherkin. Maybe put it back over here. But I kind of like the idea that it would be at an angle, so what I'll do is come in with this type of road here. And go like that and like that. Delete those, and we've got some nice space there. We will want to turn off zoning on that stretch, though. And possibly that one, too. Okay, let's move Santander Tower to that space. That actually looks kind of cool. We'll move that little building out of the way and sort of put it back there, I think. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. The distribution of height's a little bit better there. We've got a nice tall building here, a nice tall building there. And the international buildings will absolutely build up eventually. We just kind of need to wait for that. The Colossal Order offices... I think I'll put them in. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll move them, though. I kind of like the idea that they'd maybe be over here. And so we'll just put the Colossal Order offices in that little space. Then in here, we need something. I'm not quite sure what to put, though. I could clone 60 Wall Street and get another one. Which isn't the worst idea. I think it kind of works. Yeah, I almost like that. I think maybe not quite the way I've done it, though. Maybe not necessarily 60 Wall Street. Maybe that's not the building we want to clone, but it's not a terrible idea to have, you know, a couple of clone buildings here and there. This is quite a tall building. But I think I can get away with it. I think it sort of works. What else have we got? Let's have a little look. We have Pyongyang Hotel, which I don't think we'll add. We're not North Korea. We have this building which has the road on it. How does this place? I want to have a look at this. What does it do? I place you. You've got some roads either side of you. That's kind of a pain. That is kind of a pain. That doesn't really work with anything that I've got going on here. Which is unfortunate, because it's not a terrible building. That's not a terrible building at all. It just doesn't connect to anything. So we'll not bother with you. We have this one, which has a road on it as well. Which I can actually place anywhere. I don't really think I want to do that. Okay, so I reckon what we have going on at the moment actually kind of works. We have the high-rise highway. We have some trams hopefully coming out onto the high-rise highway, if I'm not mistaken, because I do have a line there. It does exist. It's this one, which has 4 vehicles. There they are over there. You can see it on the right, coming around and doing their thing, moving down the high-rise highway, which actually has a whole bunch of people waiting to, wow. There are a lot of people using that tram line. That is kind of ridiculous and really cool to see. There's a lot of people just moving on foot throughout this city, which is absolutely awesome to see as well. Just so many people deciding to walk about. Maybe that's why we're not really seeing that many traffic problems. That is certainly a bit of a relief. Anyway, I guess our next objective with this city is absolutely going to be getting everyone to level up to have proper little high-rise buildings. Because these guys here, I mean, some of them are leveling up, some of them aren't. These guys, for whatever reason, are deciding that they're going to have some rather, well, not very tall buildings. Which is a bit disappointing, actually. What are these taller buildings? Those are, I mean, those are commercial buildings. So that's very curious indeed. That's, some commercial buildings are getting some height and some aren't. You might also notice I have copied this building over to here a couple of times. And, I'm probably going to copy another building here or there. I reckon I could probably get away with copying Fortune Cookie Corp and, possibly Santander Tower as well. But thus far, I reckon that looks pretty good. It's, it fills out the city quite a lot. It may look like a bit of a mess, but I really enjoy how the skyline is coming together. I think when you look from here, I mean, if I go into options, hold on. If I go into options, go to graphics, turn off depth of field for a second, because that's making things look a bit weird. If we look from here, that looks like a city. Now, that's a cinematic shot for the opening of the video right there. Is what that is, because that is beautiful. But that looks like a city. I think we're achieving what we want to achieve, and I'm actually going to keep depth of field off, because good lord, that looks so much better. But it just... Then you sort of get down here as well, and the problem I had before with these buildings looking a bit bare is gone, because we have these this beautiful skyline in the background. And, like, this view through here, even though it's unfinished, is just... really is so good. I love how it's turned out. Like, you get down here, you sort of look up. Like, this looks exactly how I want it to look. It really does. Also, if you didn't notice, I put theater and cathedral over here, because I reckon this can be a nice big sort of... We're going to get the theater in there, because if we have a look, we'll go to... What's it, here? No. It's in one of these. If I place... I'll place the buildings down to give you an idea. I want to place the theater, which is actually going to cause some problems because I don't want to have to zone on that road. So what we'll do is I'll just quickly place down this, which will give you an idea. So if I put down that road, we want to place the theater, which looks like that. You'll see it in a second. I also want to place the cathedral, which I'll put there. It's going to be clipping that road for a bit. I also want to place the department store. I sort of want to put all of these things in the same area. Even though they're all slightly different styles. Like the theater doesn't really match the department store, doesn't really match the cathedral, but I kind of want them in the same space. That building... I might actually... Hold on. I wonder what it would look like. And I really shouldn't be doing this. I should be wrapping the episode up. That was kind of what I was about to do. But what would it look like if I had that building there? Okay, and then flanked it with a theater and a theater. That actually looks beautiful. I love that. Although the ground texture is a little bit different, but I think I might be able to change that, because I think there is this. Yeah. Yeah, I can totally make that work. It's just going to be tedious as hell, which is kind of this entire series. So, if I was to just line that up, I'm just going to test this very quickly. If I sort of line that up and sort of do, say, that, can I make that actually work? Because if I can, I'm absolutely doing this. Yeah, I can totally make that work. That looks beautiful. I love that idea. Sort of this nice big building flanked by the theaters there. I actually wonder what it would look like if I moved them in one, sort of clip them. Oh yeah. Yeah, we are doing that. We are absolutely having them clip a little bit. Makes it look like one massive building. So there we go. That's what we're going to be doing in the next episode, ladies and gents. But for the time being, that is going to be it for today. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you kindly. And I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.